By Jennifer Rubin Opinion, writer, September 5 at 1:39 p.m. More than abortion or gun control or health care, what is at stake in the confirmation hearings for Supreme Court nominee Brett M. Kavanaugh is the security of our constitutional system and the rule of law. We've not had such a Supreme Court battle in my lifetime, because we have not had a president, even Richard Nixon, so dismissive of basic constitutional principles, coupled with a docile majority party in the Senate, and a nominee who is another in the line of sure-thing nominees who will support the views of the president nominating him or her. This goes for both sides. We have a president who may be allowed to pick a Supreme Court justice that will facilitate his evisceration of constitutional boundaries. That is why the Kavanaugh situation is unique, and why we cannot treat it like just another court fight. Kavanaugh made the problem much worse by his refusal to answer two critical questions: whether a president can self-pardon, and whether a president must respond to a subpoena. There was this exchange: Senator Dianne Feinstein, so you can't give me an answer on whether a president has to respond to a subpoena from a court of law? Kavanaugh, my understanding is that you're asking me to give my view on a potential hypothetical, and that is something that each of the 8 justices currently sitting on the Supreme Court, when they were sitting in my seat, declined to decide potential hypothetical cases.